Hello, Lord Toast. Thank you very much for your Disprove God challenge. Yes, I thought your challenge was very interesting. On the surface, you're asking us to disprove God. Us atheists. You're asking us atheists to disprove God. But I'm picking up a little bit more than that. And the reason why I'm picking that up is because I listened carefully to what you were asking, and I thought your challenge was designed in a very clever way. I'm going to read out exactly what you're asking us for. Okay? You're asking us, atheists, to prove that there cannot be an entity that is so powerful and so knowledgeable and so long-lasting that to humanity it would seem as though it was an omniscient and omnipotent being that has been around forever and that shall be around forever. And the devil is in that word seems, isn't it? You see, a lot of atheist objections against the existence of God is against logical fallacies in the definition of God as such. People say God is omnipotent, God is omniscient, and such properties are logically impossible. They can't exist. Simple logical reasoning leads you to clear contradictions, and which then shows you that the premise that a God or any object for that matter could be omnipotent or omniscient is absurd. But that's not what you're saying, is it? You are saying it would seem to be omnipotent. It would seem to be omniscient. It would just seem to have been around forever and seem to last forever. And there's the crux of the matter. It allows for a God image that is different from the traditional, say, Christian or Muslim or Hindu God images that would make God supernatural or omniscient or omnipotent like that. It would allow for the possibility, which I have mentioned in some of my previous videos, that our reality might be akin, similar to what we would see when we're looking at a simulation of something running on a computer. If there were, our simulations of course are very primitive and wouldn't amount to an awful lot. But imagine if you were able to run a simulation in which one of the simulated entities had so much brain power that it could be considered intelligent. What would it be like to be that simulated entity? To it, of course, its reality is our simulation, and to it, it would be absolutely undeniably real. It would also not be able to conceive, or well, conceive maybe, but to probe into our reality to recognize the fact that there's more to reality than it's the simulation in which it resides. And it is conceivable that we could be in that position ourselves, in which case there could be something in an overarching reality that from our perspective would have those properties that you mentioned. So no, if you want to call that God, then of course we cannot disprove the existence of God. The only thing I would like to say to you though is that indeed there is no evidence to say that there is anything outside physical reality. And given that, it is an unnecessary assumption to make. I have also made videos about how something, even if it's only as primitive as the natural numbers, is necessarily implied by nothingness. and it is therefore conceivable again, even though I wouldn't be able to explore how that might be worked out, but it's conceivable that all of reality might be so implied by nothingness. In other words, nothingness is a logical impossibility, and that is exactly why reality exists, without the need for a creator. None of these are provable things, obviously, but they are conceivable things, and if it's therefore conceivable that reality might be here without the need for such a God, I see no reason to lead my life on the premise that there is a God. In any case, it certainly isn't one of the usual gods that any human beings at the moment worship, Christian God or the Muslim God or any of those. So even if I were to make the assumption that there is a God, I would have no idea what that God would possibly want from me. Does it want me to worship it, or just lead my life? What? Nobody's telling me. The Bible and stuff like that is obviously not a good reference source, because they are about the Christian God and the Muslim God, and those are clear continuations from earlier human myths, and they are therefore clearly fabrications. So whatever gods there might be, I have absolutely no sense of what to think about that God, and therefore I'm just going to lead my life not thinking about it, basically. Obviously I do think about it, but not in the sense of like wondering what it might want from me, for example. I'm going to ignore that. Unless, of course, somebody can come up with some really convincing evidence that there is a God who is personally interested in my life and who has certain expectations of me. Then I might change my mind. But until then, as far as I'm concerned, there is no God. Now, you're right. You know, disproving God is impossible. But I hope this has helped to explain why there is no point, at this point in time, in assuming that there is one. Thank you very much. It was a good video.